beautiful. A little blackout, but as our mayor said, who hasn't blacked out in New Orleans? Okay. He said at the time, 7 years ago we were 15 feet underwater, and today we're number one in entrepreneur. We are kind of competitors for technology and entrepreneurship at Silicon Valley. We just did our number one tour with National Geographic had us the top number one of the top 20 places in the world to come and see. So change is certain, progress is not, and that is that. So that's a 20-year journey, which probably none of that would have happened, campaigns and political or moving, without having two teenage girls who are taught us everything we know and more.
The light said that there are only 3 cities in the United States: New York, San Francisco, and New Orleans, and everywhere else is Cleveland. I know. We'll be living in San Francisco and going to Cleveland, going to Los Angeles tomorrow morning. The question is, I think 20 years since the belly a little bit. Children certainly belly is somewhat a combination of two. And I think that if you look over the last 20 years, we've been involved in the ring or ringside for some really sort of big events in U.S. history, from the Lewinsky impeachment, brouhaha, recount, the 9/11, the Iraq War, Katrina reconstruction, and I've been. It's time to give the gloves to somebody else to some extent. I mean, and I think moving back in how near-death experience we had in New Orleans, and to participate in the reconstruction really, I think to some extent have had like a sedative almost. It's not that I don't think any differently or anything like that, but I just over the years they have just kind of mellowed out a little bit. Back then I was just coming off a presidential campaign, and I was younger, and I was full of more aggressiveness maybe than I am now. But it's a good question, and I think that's one of the things I like the book so much, is it gave us both an opportunity to reflect over the last 20 years. What I would think ever.
Can I just clarify though? I'm still very, very right, and he's still very, very wrong. So our politics, we've not mellowed on our politics. I know that you're not going to appreciate that here, but
well, I'm glad you clarified that. And let's talk just a bit about the Bush Clinton campaign. James obviously was running the campaign for Bill Clinton. You were deputy campaign manager for George H.W. Bush, but there was some rockiness about whether the powers that be on the campaign wanted you to come aboard. One of those powers that be apparently thought you had sold your soul for love. Goodness knows what he had sold his soul for, but it did strike me, and I may have gotten this more from your earlier book than the new one, that you were subjected to different attitudes. That Mary, you were viewed with some suspicion, some concern, either that you'd be soft on the enemy because James was working for the enemy, or you'd be a security leak, or whatever. I didn't have the sense that James was subject to any of that same concern or backbiting. Why do you think that was?
well, a couple of things which do not include, since I know this is what the possibly premised implicitly in the question, that there's a sexism in the Republican Party. I think it was more that there weren't very many women who did what I did at the time. In fact, there were 0 women. If you look at the picture of that campaign hierarchy that's in that book, there's all guys and me dress. I hung it on the back of my door. I worked at the campaign in jeans, and I had to put on my one dress. And when I got the job, the man dear friend of mine, now passed, said, "We hired you for your brains, but while you're here, we're going to use the rest of your stuff, so put on your skirt for this picture." So it was kind of like a lot of women didn't do it, but this is less to do with being on the Bush campaign than preceding the Bush campaign. We were dating when Senator Hines tragically was in a helicopter crash, and James Carville, who nobody knew at the time, went up and ran against a guy, Thornburg, who was our Attorney General, and he went and ran this guy that nobody knew. So he came from 40 points down with the unknown to beat a legendary Pennsylvanian in a landslide. So the only presumption was that because at the time I was the chief of staff, that nobody could possibly beat Thornburg. So somehow I must have given him I must have succumbed to his charms at night. Well, the truth is, when you're on a campaign, we're not. This is why we don't talk. When we're on TV, I don't speak for him, but we don't listen to each other. You know, I can't hear you. I'm not. You know,
No, but I think that's true tonight as well. I mean, it's no
I'm
different.
not, but the idea that my 20-year reputation preceding our getting together, my honor would be questioned. So who doesn't question it? The Bushes or the Cheneys or the Clintons or the kind of people who question your integrity in that business in those days are the kind of people who you wouldn't ever want to work with anyway.
So if you think about the culture of being a Democrat, of our culture, you would never question that someone vouched for you. This had nothing to do with you. I mean, generally like goes the other way, but you can't do this because your wife goes